Okay, we have Brian C. Parker on the phone from federal prison. What federal prison are you in, Brian?
Raybrook, New York.
Raybrook, New York. He's currently in for his third indictment, but he's here to talk about his first indictment, which was Operation Raw Deal. We just did a video with Raymond Michael on his point of view of what happened with Brian Parker, so it was only fair to get Brian in here himself so that he could tell his side versus maybe what Ray said, and I think that's the fair way to do it. So before we get into it, because the Ray video is up, how during this time of Operation Raw Deal, how close were you with Ray? I mean, was he your best friend at the time?
Yeah, he was my best friend.
Okay, so
I knew him at the time for like 10, 15 years at the time.
Oh, so at the time of the Operation Raw Deal, he was your best friend.
Yep.
Okay, so where did you grow up?
It's hard to say. I grew up, I always say the Jersey Shore, like Seaside Brick, but I moved around a lot as a kid. So I lived in Pennsylvania, all through Jersey. But I always went every summer to Seaside, New Jersey, Tom's River. So Jersey Shore.
So you moved around because of your family, or why were you moving around all the time?
Moved around because we were poor, so we would have money for rent to someplace, and then we wouldn't. Then we moved back to my grandma's with me, my mom and dad, and then we would have money for a little bit longer, move somewhere else, and then not have money and then move back somewhere. Just kept moving.
Wow, were your mom and dad together, or were they separated?
They were together, but not really together. They were just. My dad was a drug addict, so all I remember him is being drugged out on the couch, and my mom just worked pretty much at the Jersey Shore all weekend. I saw her the weekends.
So you kind of really didn't have a father figure growing up, basically.
Nah, not at all.
So then your mom was kind of holding things down for financial reasons. You're moving around. So as soon as you get comfortable somewhere, you're restarting your life again.
Yep, all new friends, all new everything. So that sucked.
Then you go to high school. Where were you when you got out of high school?
Where was I? Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
Okay, so when you got out of high school, you were in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and you're, what, 16, 17 at this time?
Yeah, around there.
Okay, and what did you do when you got out of high school?
Actually worked for Sears, what was it called, like labor department, and then after that I was Target Security, which I got fired from that for stealing.
You got fired from Target for stealing?
Yeah.
What did you steal?
Security. All the DVDs that come out on Tuesdays, we have them like a month before, so I used to get them beforehand and take them out in cereal boxes and sell them for like $25 a DVD.
All right, so you're doing that move, and then when was your, I guess, introduction to steroids? When did that really happen? Not necessarily selling them, but when did you start to go in that direction?
2001, 2002-ish, I started using steroids because I used to bodybuild and work out all the time. So that's when I started to learn all about them.
So you were just using them in the beginning?
For the first year or 8 months or so.
Okay, so then after you start using them, when do you start selling them, I assume, to support kind of like your habit in the beginning?
I actually started selling because a site called P-Meds that was out of Mexico sent me double the order of what I ordered, and I ordered like $500 worth of stuff. And I just turned around, looked for a place to sell it online, and I found some forums where you could sell steroids. So
you order steroids for yourself, just for personal use. You get double the order. So then you're like, I don't need all these steroids. So then you go online and you find a forum that you can sell the extra steroids that you don't need.
Yep, and I got them pretty cheap, so I sold them for double the price I paid for them, and found the whole steroid world online.
And then that's how everything started.
Yep, started looking through all the posts and all the dealers and all the sources from China. From there on, it blew up into my first indictment.
So now you sell that, you take that money, and then you're buying it and then flipping it. Are you buying it from China or Mexico, or where are you initially getting your product from that you're then selling it on the forums because you realize you can make double on that?
Actually, I started when I looked at the forms. I made double off what I bought from Mexico, which was already finished product, quality vet steroids. But I saw you could buy the powder and convert it for like testosterone propionate was only $100 from China for 100 grams, which turns into 100 bottles that you could sell at $20, $30, $40 a bottle. So I was working at Kodak at the time, and I took my next paycheck and I bought 100 grams and all the bottles and made an online name, which was at the, what was it? PE Labs at the time, and started to build my rep.
So then you build your rep. You're paying $100. You said it was $100 for 100 grams.
Yeah, of testosterone pro.
So you spend 100. You buy the bottles. What do you make off that 100 in the beginning?
After everything, it was like $250 I spent, and I brought back $2,500.
So you're making $1,000 off 100 grams.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit more.
A little bit more than that. Okay, so that's good. So then that continues on. You're just doing that, and then you get into capsules.
Yeah. I started to get into capsules and expanding I was doing injectables there, so I started to expand the injectables to different, like DECA, EQ, and Tren, and all these other different types of steroids.
Now, are you selling all of this only on the forums? Well, I mean, through the mail.
Through the mail, yeah. I never did person-to-person sales. I've done everything online.
Through the mail. Okay, so so you start with the 100 grams. You make your money. You keep reinvesting the money. Now you're into the capsules, kind of competing against the tablets because the capsules are cheaper, but pretty much the same shit. So now you're selling the capsules, the oils, and all that. You have a whole range. How many forums are you on at this time, would you say?
Let's see, I was on Outlaw, Meso, so I think I was a pretty big source on 2 or 3 forums at that point. Yeah, built up my rep. I had a good rep at the time for someone that delivers, had good product.
So now you also said before you got on here, you built a forum? You built a forum yourself?
Yeah.
Now, was that at this time period, or was that later on?
This was a little bit later. I changed the name to Live Stronger, and I wanted to build a rep again. And this one big source, Nordic Sport, he needed someone to build a forum, so I didn't know how, but I said I knew how, and I learned how because I knew I could ride his rep.
You built a forum. You're dealing with Nordic?
Yeah, Nordic Sport was a really big source. I think he was living in Brazil, selling out of China.
So now what happens after that?
Well, I built his forum up, so now I'm the admin of his forum, and I'm building the rep up, and since I'm working with him, my rep just goes right up. So this other powder source called Leo asked if I wanted to start the remail for him, get his packages from China, United States, send them to other steroid sources in the USA, and so I started to do that, and that's where Ray came in. He helped me get all the PO boxes and UPS boxes to get all the powders from all over. And
for people that don't know, a remailer is that Leo sends you the order, you make it, you ship it.
Yep. It was just for Leo. It was just I didn't actually make it. I think it was just taking the powder because some sources don't want to get all those packages from China because it looks suspicious. So they would send it to me or me and Ray and whoever else, and then we would get the powder and ship it from USPS in the United States.
Then you're doing that. You're on the forums. Now now at this point, are you going to get the tablet press? Is that where you're at?
That's right. Yeah, right there. I'm still doing capsules, and I want to expand my business more. So I'm looking for tablet presses on this one site, Anabolic Board, and just happened to find in Florida a guy that was willing to sell 3.
And how much is a tablet press that you're talking about?
They were $4,000 each, and then they had a V-shaped blender mixer, which is something to mix the powder up before you put it into the tablet press, and he had one of those for sale for an extra like $2,000 or $3,000.
So you're doing that. So now what do you fly down to Florida?
Yep. Me and a couple other people flew down to Florida to go meet this guy because we had to do it in a day or two because he was leaving to go back to England or Britain or something like that. So he was leaving the country.
How many did you get?
Got 3 tablet presses and that 1 V-shaped mixer.
Now, obviously, you drive it back.
Yep.
And and then when you were driving back, you had somebody that was cooperating with you?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know his name. It was a friend of a friend. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I just had read, and from whatever else, that he was like taking naps in the back of the U-Haul truck and then giving the serial number out and where the tab presses were going and everything else. So that wasn't good. Okay, so now you get the tab presses back. So now you're pressing tabs. How many tablets does it press an hour?
Each press does about 6,000 to 7,000 pills an hour, so I'm popping out, let's say, 18,000 to 20,000 pills an hour. So had 3 different kinds of steroids going at all times, or maybe some kind of anti-estrogens.
And at this time, how much are you making a month now that you have the tab presses?
Before, I was making with the capsules and the injectables anywhere from like 3, maybe 4,000 a day. So figure 100, 150,000. 150,000 was pushing with a month for the capsules. But once I got the tablet presses and got a couple sales and a few samples out there and people saw how they were, it started to go way up to like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a day. And
you were just doing steroids, or were you making tablets of other things too?
Now, my source happened to have allopurinol, which is Xanax powder, and
Jesus.
At the time it was $1,600 a kilo, and it makes 500,000 2-milligram pills. So you sell them for $1 a pill each, and you just profited almost $500,000.
And they consider steroids worse than Xanax?
Xanax is a Schedule 4 drug. Steroids is Schedule 3. The feds literally threw the Xanax out in front of me.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so now
don't kill people.
Yeah. So now you get the tablet press machines. You're running. You're making $200,000 a month. I imagine you're buying all kinds of shit.
Yeah, anything and everything I wanted.
Okay, so now how long after you get the tab press machines do you get rated?
6 or 7 months later.
In that span, you had told me earlier that somebody had broken in your house, and you think it was the feds, or you're pretty sure it was the feds?
Just seems suspicious because it wasn't in a place where, like, it was a cheap apartment. No one's gonna try to rob it. Like, no one knew people were really there. No one knew I was there. No one knew there was drug dealing or anything going out of there. And when I got busted, I asked the feds, and they gave me this look and this smile, like, yeah, it was them. Okay,
so they rob your house in between that probably to get more evidence. Who knows? You know, they could do whatever they want. But, I mean, you would have got hit anyway. So 5 or 6 months after you get the tab press machine, you get raided. So now take us through the day of the raid because they have you as the ringleader of Operation Raw Deal. So as the ringleader or kingpin or whatever of Operation Raw Deal, so the night before you go to bed, then what happens? Or how did the day go that you got raided?
I was at a girlfriend's house. They didn't know where the house was, so I was going home to my condo in Bethlehem Steel Factory in Pennsylvania, and I pull into the parking garage, and as soon as I park them, like a couple spots I had, all these cars start coming out of nowhere. Guns are drawn, telling to get on the floor, M16s, all kinds of crazy shit.
And what time was this?
It was in the afternoon sometime, 12, 1 o'clock.
And what all did they take?
At that raid, just the stuff in my house. But altogether, they took like all the houses, 2 cars, 2 bikes, watches, money I had in the safe, money I had in the bank, and a ton of product. So
now they raid you. They take all this shit. Do you get pre-release, or do they take you right then and there?
No, they denied me pre-release because what was the reason? Menace to society, flight risk, and might have more money somewhere else.
They thought you had money hidden elsewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so they raid you. They take you right then and there. you don't get ROR, you don't get bail, and then what happens?
They take me to a county jail to hold for the feds to come get me, so they take me to East and Northampton County, and I wait there for a couple months. From there, I go to Philadelphia, which is a transit center, and there for a month. Then they fly me to Oklahoma. I'm there for a month. Fly me to Florida, there for a month, and I finally go to the Southern District of Georgia, is where they did their buy, so that's where I had to get prosecuted.
So you were actually indicted in Georgia. That's where the indictment came from?
Savannah, Georgia, yep.
Okay, so you go into Georgia, and did you do a plea?
Yeah, I took the plea. I knew about what I was going to get at the time. I looked at the law before.
Okay, and what did you plead to?
I plead to have a level system of numbers, which I plead to a level 20, which is the maximum for a Schedule 3 drug. And then they have, like, you get 3 points off for taking the plea, but I finished at a level 19, which is 24 to 30 months.
So then you plea, and then how long between the plea until you get sentenced? Did they drag it out, or did you get kind of a speedy trial, or how did that work?
When I got to Georgia, it took 3 months to get a plea, and from there it took about 3 or 4 months to get sentenced, which is really, considering the feds, quick.
Yeah, that is really quick. That's really quick. Okay, so your guidelines were, what'd you say, 26 to 30 months for this?
Yeah, 24 to 30.
24 to 30. And then what do you get sentenced to?
Well, I happened to get like some old judge that was dying, said he wanted to give 1 million years out before he died altogether, and he gave me the top of the guidelines of 30 months.
You got 30 months? You got the max you could get for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, and then where do they ship you? Now, once you're sentenced, where do they ship you to?
I went from there to Atlanta to Florida, Florida back to Atlanta, then Atlanta to Philly, Philly to Allentown to Philly, then Philly to finally prison in Schuylkill, Pennsylvania.
I think we're all confused as to where the hell you all were. But so
Yeah.
you end up in Schuylkill, Pennsylvania, where you, and for people who don't know, there's Supermax, a penitentiary, a medium, a low, and a camp. They put you in a medium, right? Okay, so like the medium has cells, the low is like dorms, like a dorm type atmosphere. The camp is dorms with no fence, so you have no fence. The low has a fence. The medium obviously has a fence, and you're in a cell. And then the pen is a place you never want to be. So on that 30 months, how much do you do?
27 of them.
27 of the 30 months.
Yep.
And they took everything.
And they took everything.
Okay, so now
3 years probation.
how many years?
3 years.
3 years. Did they fine you at all, or any type of restitution?
No, just the court cost, which was like $200.
So now you get out. Do you go back to Jersey, or are you in Pennsylvania, or where do you go?
Nah, I go back to the Jersey Shore to Bradley Beach, New Jersey.
And then you have probation for 3 years.
Yep.
So you got hit. So in other words, they had you as the ringleader of the Operation Raw deal. So not only did the judge want to get 1 million years under his belt, they also knocked you as the ringleader of Operation Raw deal. So those two combined are not a good situation to be in, I don't think.
No, they're guaranteed going to give you the max they can.
Right. So you got all 30 months. You do the 30 months. You get out. You go to Tom's River, and then you have 3 years probation. Is Ray there when you get out? When you get out, is Ray there? Or when you're in there for 20 some months, did Ray help you out?
No, he really didn't have any. I don't think he had a job at the time. So I don't think did we talk? I don't remember talking.
Well, you were saying you were basically supporting him.
Say that again. I couldn't.
Yeah, you were basically supporting him. So you were his source of income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you get clocked in the head because you're the ringleader. You get 3 years probation, and then the second indictment was called Gear Grinder, right?
Yep.
All right.
I got caught up in Operation Gear Grinder, which was mostly steroids, but I was doing peptides and research chemicals. I ended up in that.
On part 2, or just a whole nother indictment video of Brian Parker, we'll talk about Gear Grinder, And thanks for your time, Brian. I appreciate it. I know it's tough in jail, and good luck.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.